if there's one thing that we know, if you're a college football fan or a Tennessee fan or an Alabama fan, if there's something different about that third Saturday in October. There's a certain bitterness and hatred that turns itself into intensity and physicality and grit and drive and trying to come away with that W against your most hated rival on your schedule. Tennessee, Alabama, there's been some classic matchups over the years. I think we may be potentially in store for another one. So let's get right into it. The Vol View, the third Saturday in October edition, begins and starts right now.
Football time in Tennessee.
Indeed it is. It is football time in Tennessee and the Vols. I mean, it doesn't get a whole heck of a lot better than this, at least in the regular season. Tennessee, Alabama from Neyland Stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm going to be in the building tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time for kickoff. And what's going to be, I'm wearing this orange shirt right now. You're going to see a lot of orange because Tennessee is doing an orange out across Neyland Stadium after doing the checkerboarded stadium last week against Florida. So for Tennessee, let's start with the Vols first and foremost because, of course, this is the Vol View. So what was a nail-biter, to say the very least. 23-17 overtime win against the Florida Gators in a game that Florida actually led at one point. Led at one point in this game by 10-0. Tennessee was able to, get some turnovers. They got an interception. Florida threw an interception within their own red zone, or they're back to their end zone rather. The thing for Tennessee that I'm going to be looking out to see if it turns around. Nico Iamaleava's got to play a lot better than he has been. Now, in his defense, I think the last two games, particularly the game against Arkansas, was a matter of non-aggressive play calling, kind of playing not to lose. It was very much a Josh Heupel type game plan that you would see with Joe Milton at quarterback, right? Just, okay, take the occasional shot down the field, but we really don't trust him with his decision-making, overthrowing guys. We're going to ride Dylan Sampson and the run game and get to the finish. And, of course, coaching not to lose turned into just that, a loss against the Arkansas Razorbacks. So for Tennessee in this game, again, with Nico coming off a game, it's not impressive numbers whatsoever. 16 of 26, $169 through the air, 0 touchdowns, and an interception, a QBR of 17. So Nico did not play very well. Well, he's going to have to against, in what should be good news for Tennessee, and Alabama's pass defense that has not been very good over the last 3 games. You look at what they did against Georgia in the second half of that game. In a game they had Georgia down 28-0. Turns out it turns into an Alabama win, 41 to 34, in a spot where it looked like the Tide had Georgia dead to rights. Okay, so you had that. You had the fact that Alabama, of course, lost to Vanderbilt. In Vanderbilt, right? 40 to 35. Jalen Milroe's great. Ryan Williams, the 17-year-old freshman phenom, doing his thing. But they couldn't stop Vanderbilt. Just like for large stretches of that game at home in Tuscaloosa, they could not stop South Carolina. And a game that Alabama won by 2. And yet and still, I cannot really figure this out to save my life. Tennessee and Alabama have had identical last 2 games. Like, to a T. They lose a game on the road they shouldn't have. I can make a strong case Bama's a lot worse. Vanderbilt's much better than expected this year. Vanderbilt, traditionally, and I don't even think this year, is better than Arkansas. Both teams losing games they should not have on the road, SEC games, in conference games, on the road, shouldn't have lost those. Both dropped in the rankings. They come right back, win a home game by the skin of their teeth against teams they're way better than. Wait a second. Alabama stays where that in the standings and Tennessee drops 4 spots, or rather drops 3 spots. Go figure that. Maybe it's a Kalen DeBoer trust. I don't know. But what I also know about Alabama and Kalen DeBoer, who I love, top 5 coach of the country in my mind, his teams kind of play to their competition. If they're playing a Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt's got a shot to win, and of course did win. Or South Carolina. Or if they're playing one of the titans of college football, Georgia. Or you go back to a year ago when Kalen DeBoer was at Washington. A team like Oregon. A team like Texas. By golly gee, they're going to show up and they're going to play excellent football over the course of 60 minutes. But they can also lose games. And again, Washington was in a ton of close ones last year. So you have that component. So I think it's safe to say that the over-under for this game, I was a little shocked. I felt like this should have been a little bit higher. 56.5, I think is going to be higher. I think you're going to see a lot of points. I think you're going to see a spot where Nico, listen, he realizes his shortcomings last week, and to a certain degree in the Arkansas game, although, again, I think that was more of a play-calling issue. And for those saying, well, what about against Florida? Do you not think that was I don't. The shots were down the field for Squirrel White, for Thornton and others, and he just flat out missed them. He missed a lot of deep balls, again, i.e. somewhat resembling Joe Milton a season ago. Nico's got to hit those. I have to imagine he's worked with those guys during practice, after practice, at hitting those home run balls. Alabama tends to struggle against that. Tennessee receivers struggle with drops. You have to imagine, again, it's Thursday in October, brings out the best out of you. What I expect is for Tennessee to get out the gates hot. I could see Tennessee getting out to a 10-0 lead, 14-0 lead, something like that. But Alabama being Alabama and Jalen Milroe being the playmakers that he is, the Heisman candidate and hopeful that he is, well, he's going to make plays. He's going to get Alabama right in this game. I think this is going to be a spot where we see a back and forth, lot of scoring in the second half. Maybe goes quiet in the second quarter. And then similar to Alabama, Georgia, late third quarter on, it turns into a who gets the ball last type of situation. I think Tennessee's offense has been waiting for their themselves to resemble the 2022 team, at least the 2022 offense with a great defense to boot. Again, let's be 100% real about this. That defense won the game against Florida. Full stop. Okay. Forcing turnovers, knocking Florida back. They forced a fumble down on the goal line. They were able to force Florida into, not force Florida. Florida committed an unforced error penalty, cost them a field goal at the end of the half. That defense did everything it could and ultimately helped us get the job done last week against the Gators. As the old saying goes, great offense beats great defense any day of the week. And so for that reason, Bama's going to put up over 30, and so is Tennessee. And for that reason, because I think it's going to be a who gets the ball last type of game, I got the Vols, baby. 34-31. Tennessee, take Tennessee plus the 3 and they'll win this puppy outright. Definitely take the over on the. I cannot believe the over-under was 56.5. To me, this is clearly an over spot right here. Tennessee 34, Alabama 31. Not as high scoring as the 52-49 crazy game of the year type of situation in 2022. That said, high scoring, a lot of points. Tennessee gets out the gates early, feeds on the home energy. Let me tell you something, y'all. I'm going to be in Neyland Stadium tomorrow. That place is going to be rocking for 60 minutes. The earth may shake, just like it did when Tennessee took down Alabama for the first time in 15 years back 2 seasons ago. It's going to be an orange out. It's going to be a lot of energy. And it's going to be a good time, no question about it. Tennessee 34, Alabama 31. This is kind of an elimination game in terms of SEC title contention, and could put you really very much on the brinks of potentially missing out on the 12-team college football playoff. Both teams are desperate. Both teams know they got to get the job done. I think if this game is in Tuscaloosa, I wouldn't feel the best about it. And again, I'm certainly nervous for this spot, given how well coached and how loaded a roster that Alabama is, particularly on the opposite side of the ball. But when it's all said and done, the Vols, led by a breakout game by Nico Iamaleava, will get the job done. Dylan Sampson will do his thing as well, cash in the red zone. Josh Heupel will call a great game. I thought he called a great game against Florida. Nico just missed some of the throws. Tennessee will get it done. 34-31 against Alabama and keep our hopes alive, not only for a college football playoff berth, but to potentially make the SEC title game in Atlanta. Keep our hopes alive. So that is it for this week's edition of The Vol View. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.